Hi everyone, my name is Dorian. Today we are going to be exploring some shapes that will help us to strengthen our crow pose experience. Crow pose is a posture that requires that strength and balance work in conjunction in order to find flight. And I know that there are some barriers to that. So those of us that have trouble with balance, or those of us that have trouble putting our hands on the ground in a forward fold. So we're gonna work through some different explorations using some props to see if we can make those barriers seem a little bit more accessible. For props today, we're gonna be using 2 blocks and a blanket. All right, let's get ready to transform. We're gonna start off lying on our backs. And to start off with, extend your arms up high over your head so that you can feel the full length of your body with the backs of your hands, the backs of your wrists, and your shoulders pressed into the earth. Flex your ankles so that your toes point up towards the sky as if you were standing on the ground. Breathe in, breathe out. One more inhale here. On your next exhale, draw both of your knees into your chest. Keep the back of your head attached to the earth. Wrap your hands around your shins and squeeze your legs into your torso. You might even slide your hands down to your ankles so that you can try and squeeze your heels towards your sitting bones. Keep your chin tucked so the line of the spine is nice and long. Go ahead, point your feet so that the tops of the feet flatten out. Breathe in and breathe out. Keep your right leg bent. Hold onto your right shin with both hands. Extend your left leg forwards towards the front end of your mat. Flex that left ankle. Take a nice inhale here. On your exhale, switch your legs. Inhale. Exhale, switch your legs. Inhale. Exhale, switch your legs. Inhale. Exhale, switch your legs. Move from side to side a few times at your pace, feeling the squeezing of calf into thigh, knee towards shoulder, and then that opposite extension, the full leg lengthening out, the back of the knee even opening. Good. Just a few more times traveling from side to side. And then once again, draw both of your knees into your chest. Let your big toes touch as you point your feet. Start to widen your knees out towards the side so that the knees move up towards the shoulders or even outwards past the shoulders. Go ahead, lift the palms of your hands up towards the sky like you were raising the roof. Bend your elbows so that the elbows come inside of your knees. Keep your big toes touching, squeeze your legs around your arms. Last piece of this puzzle, lift the back of your head up off of the ground. Round your upper back, draw the heels in towards your seat. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in. Release down to the ground, just kerflop, arms and legs. You can wiggle from side to side. Let your head and neck move from left to right. And then remembering everything that you just did, draw your knees into your chest. Start to rock and roll forwards and backwards along the length of your spine, gaining some momentum until you rock your way upright. Grab a hold of one of your blocks. At the widest setting, you're gonna place this block in between the soles of your feet. Press your feet into the block so that you can feel the insides of your legs turn on. Keep your toes active. We're gonna take our hands to the ground behind us. Roll the shoulder blades together, send your chest forward. Press your feet into those blocks. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. One more inhale, one more exhale. On your next inhale, lift the block up. Oh boy, now things are getting real serious. You have options. You can either keep your hands on the ground behind you, or you can take your arms forward like you were coming into a crow pose. Knees into arms, round your upper back, pulse the feet up towards the sky. We're gonna keep doing this for 10, 9, 8, 7. You could be here. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower the block down to the ground. Release that block from the soles of your feet. You can take the soles of your feet directly together and just shift from side to side. Rocking the boat. Swing your legs around to the behind you to come into a hands and knees pose. And then take some rounds of cat and cow just to relieve any tension in your spine. You can feel free to keep that standard cat-cow. You can also make some circles with your head and neck, or shift your torso from left to right, whatever helps to awaken the body to more motion, creating space. Whenever you're ready, sit your hips back onto your heels. And we're gonna play around with a couple of different ways that we can feel our way into crow pose, especially if there are any barriers that are stopping us from sustaining a really nice, clean crow pose. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna try a crow pose with our hands on blocks. So we're gonna go ahead and grab blocks and we're gonna stack them towards the top of our mat at the middle setting or the lowest, flattest setting, depending on how long your arms are. From here, we're gonna stand up and come into a forward fold. So this is where we come into trouble. For those of us that have trouble placing their hands on the ground, if you're like, oh, my lower back is not gonna let me place my hands on the ground, this is a great place to use your blocks. So blocks underneath your hands here. Allow your big toes to touch. Come up nice and high on your toes, and then start to bend your knees. Sending your heart forward. Bend your knees so that you can deliver the knees to the backs of the arms. I'm gonna shift my blocks slightly forward here, because the next thing that's gonna happen is I'm going to bend my elbows, and I'm gonna take the backs of my knees onto the backs of my arms. I'm gonna look forward. Try not to drop your head. Look forward. Go ahead, send the shoulders even more forward. See if you can pick up your right toes down. Pick up your left toes down. You might go ahead and try and lift up both feet, drawing the knees into the arms and toes and heels into the seat. Breathing in and breathing out. We're gonna place our feet back down on the ground. Hands can stay on the blocks for a nice forward fold. You might sway your hips from side to side, just relieving any tension there. And flutter your lips out. All right. So that was the variation we used for people that have trouble touching the ground. So if your hamstrings are tight, that might be a good fit for you. For those of us that have trouble keeping our hips elevated in our crow pose, we're gonna try something a little bit different. So for that, we're gonna take our blocks towards the center of our mat. And like the Colossus of Rhodes, one of the wonders of the world, we're gonna stand on those blocks. Boom. I am standing on the blocks. From here, I am going to actually slide the blocks next to each other so that they're touching. And I'm going to bend my knees to come into a nice forward fold. So already, my knees and my elbows are really close, right? My hips are really lifted here in this forward fold. I'm gonna bend my knees so that I can get my hands closer to the earth, and then I'm gonna go ahead and lift my heels. The knees are gonna come onto the backs of the arms. Once again, my palms are on the earth. I'm gonna look forward, squeezing knees into arms. I lift my right foot down. I lift my left foot down. I lift both feet. I'm in a crow pose. Breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, and breathing out. My feet are gonna come back down onto my blocks. I'm gonna step my feet off of my blocks and once again take a nice forward fold and just shift my hips from side to side. All right. The next option that we're gonna take is for those of us who have trouble sustaining a crow pose because we're either falling forward out of balance or falling backwards out of balance. And to do that, we're gonna take one block on top of the other, and we're gonna set our feet up behind the blocks. I'm once again gonna set my big toes to touch, and I'm gonna come into a forward fold. This one you do have to play around with the placement of the blocks because eventually you're going to want these blocks underneath your forehead. And because we do move forward in a crow pose, you might need to scoot your blocks a little farther forward. We'll see what happens. Big toes touch, come up high in the toes, bend your knees. Once again, knees come onto the backs of the arms. I can see where my blocks are. I know that's where my forehead's headed, and I know that I'm gonna move forward with my torso, so I slide the blocks a little bit farther forward. Shifting my weight into my hands, I'm gonna go ahead and put my forehead on my blocks, and then I'm gonna lift my toes and heels up. Squeezing my heels into my seat, I can either stay here and try to breathe, or big engagement of the navel center, lifting my head up, head down. Head up, head down. Head up, head down, feet down. And I'm gonna widen my feet and come into a squat. Hands prayed at the heart center, drawing my chest and thumbs to meet. I'm just gonna shift from side to side here, breathing in and breathing out. Opening my palms forward, I'm gonna take my hands down to the earth, lengthening legs, dropping ahead. Once again, sway the hips from side to side. All right. The last thing that we're gonna work through is a transition from crow pose that we didn't work on in class earlier. So, what we're gonna do here is we're gonna jump back from a crow pose into a chaturanga. And we're gonna do it without letting our heads drop below our hearts. Hands down to the ground, shifting the shoulders and the heart forward. Not a lot changes in the upper body moving from crow pose into chaturanga. So the one thing that we have to remember is the torso is gonna stay forward. The legs are gonna jump back, but the torso is pretty much gonna stay exactly where it was. Knees to upper arms, hips elevate. Shifting the crown of the head forward, climb the toes and heels up into the seat. From here, my upper body is already pretty much in chaturanga, so all I'm gonna do is expel my legs towards the wall behind me to hop back into chaturanga. Here goes, 1, 2, 3, legs back. Chaturanga. Moving into upward facing dog. Exhaling into downward facing dog. And then fighting our way into a nice child's pose. When you're in child's pose, you can widen the knees if you'd like, making space for the belly in between the thighs as you shift from side to side. Walking your hands back towards your knees, lifting your torso upright. Another really great transition that we could potentially work on is changing from crow pose into a tripod headstand. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do that. We're gonna come back into our crow pose shape. Big toes touch, knees wide, hands down in line with your shoulders. Go ahead, stretch the torso forward, knees to backs of arms, toes lift up into the seat. From here, steel yourself, be brave. Tuck your chin, drop the crown of your head to the earth. You might keep your knees on your arms, just breathing into this headstand in this shape. You might begin to extend your legs directly up towards the sky. As you come into your headstand, do not widen your elbows. Keep the elbows right where they are and just send your legs up to the sky, drawing your navel center in. Breathing in, breathing out. Want to try something fun? Hop back from here to chaturanga. Oh boy. Flex your ankles, soft bend in your knees. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Down dog. Child's pose. Carefully walk your hands back towards your knees and roll your way upright. And that is our exploration of crow pose and its friends for today. I hope you enjoyed this, and make sure to reach out if you have any questions.